Then these nucleotide words are read and a special molecule is made. What kind of ladder are we talking about, Sam?
Mom, what's the ladder? What ladder are we talking about?
We're talking about a DNA ladder.
ladder.
The mRNA takes the information from the DNA and leaves the nucleus through the pores in the nuclear membrane. Outside the nucleus, the mRNA connects to ribosomes. Once they're on a ribosome, the mRNA is read by another type of RNA called transfer RNA, tRNA. Each kind of tRNA carries the code of a particular amino acid in an attachment for that amino acid. Each segment of mRNA is read, then the tRNA brings the correct amino acid in the correct order and the protein is assembled. The ribosomes stitch together each protein, folding it carefully so that it will work just right. So we've talked about 3 different types of nucleic acids. We've talked about DNA, mRNA, and tRNA. Okay? What is junk DNA?
I don't know.
Only a small portion of our DNA actually contains the information that codes for proteins. So what then is the purpose of the rest of our DNA? Many scientists over the last few decades have felt that if any portion of DNA did not actually code for other proteins, it had no purpose. For that reason, many scientists began to refer to this part of our DNA as junk DNA. They felt that these useless regions of DNA were merely left over from our evolutionary past. However, in recent years, it has been shown that junk DNA is not junk at all. These regions of our DNA are quite active and serve many functions, such as helping switch genes on and off. Do you know how sometimes people go through phases where they might look more like their mom and less like their dad, and then they start looking more like their dad and less like their mom? That's what this is. Okay?
The switch DNA.
It switches genes on and off. All right.
Weird.
You remember when you were a little girl and you had blonde hair, but now you've got black hair?
Mm-hmm.
That's what's happening. Okay. Different genes are being switched on and off. Okay. You see, our master designer does not make junk. Do humans and chimps have similar DNA? Do you think that they do, Sam?
Yes.
Do you think that they do?
Yeah.
I guess.
Okay. It is often said that the DNA of humans and chimps are 98% alike.
I feel like I've read this stuff.
Yeah?
No,
Okay.
this was last week.
Well, then this will be a good...
We're reading it again?
Yeah.
Okay.
This popular notion has been repeated and repeated so often that most people believe it to be true. Many scientists promote this idea to support their mistaken idea that humans and chimps evolved from a common ancestor a few million years ago. This supposed similarity in DNA is used as proof of an evolutionary link between humans and chimps. Actually, when you really examine the data, you find that the similarity between human and chimp DNA is more like 70% instead of the 98%. It is nowhere near the 98%. Even though there is a 70% similarity, that 30% difference means an awful lot. Between humans and chimps, there are millions and millions of sequences in DNA that are different. That is obvious, as humans and chimps are distinctly different creatures. So how can we explain the 70% of our DNA that is similar to the chimps? This is simple for the Christian. We understand that all living things have a common designer, not a common ancestor. Do you see the difference? We have a common designer, not a common ancestor. The amazing designer would allow for many design similarities in the creatures he created. These similar features would be reflected in similarities in our DNA. How is Brenna like us?
She has brown eyes.
She's an animal, so she has eyes. She has ears. Two eyes, 2 ears. She has a nose.
Got 5 toes.
She has a mouth and a tongue and teeth. She's got hair.
Stop. You stop, please.
DNA can make DNA. Well, DNA is able, with the help of a series of proteins called enzymes,